A hospital in southern Israel was hit on Thursday, but Iranian missiles targeted other areas in the country as well.
Yeah, the strike on Ramat Gan, a Tel Aviv suburb, caused heavy damage to buildings and cars. Here's how one Israeli resident described it.
All my neighbors and the entrance of the building are full of glasses. Everything fell down. It's a damage. But the damage in the heart and the soul is much stronger.
CNN's Jeremy Diamond was on the scene shortly after the strike happened.
Yeah, I mean, we are standing inside the building that was struck by that ballistic missile. And if you look behind me, I mean, these pictures speak far more than I could possibly describe this destruction. Everything here has been really torn to shreds by the enormous power of this ballistic missile. You know, these missiles carry hundreds of pounds of explosives, and you can see the kind of damage that they can bring. The fact that there were only minor injuries as a result of this strike is only really a credit to the bomb shelters that exist here, to people following the instructions to go into those shelters once those air raid sirens sound. Because, in fact, we're right here at the site, at the very point where that ballistic missile struck. You can see the hole that has been ripped through the concrete here, the steel bars that have been broken through as this missile struck right here. This is a partially residential and a commercial building as well. The power of the blast extends not just to this building and the building across the street as well, but really in the entire, 2-block radius or so of here. You can see broken windows all around the area, and that's been similar to what we've seen at other scenes of ballistic missile strikes here in Israel over the course of the last week. The shockwave from the blast is so powerful that even buildings that are not directly impacted by shrapnel from the missile or from debris in the area, ultimately the shockwave of that blast can be felt. We've talked to people who've been inside of bomb shelters and have felt the power of that blast. And of course, the result is also broken windows for several blocks sometimes from the impact site itself. But once again, only minor injuries as a result of this very strike. And we are monitoring other strikes that have happened across the country as well, including a strike to Soroka Hospital in Beersheba in southern Israel.
Our thanks to Jeremy Diamond for that report. CNN's Nick Payton-Walsh joins us now live from London. And at that Soroka Hospital, you saw a number of top government officials, from the Prime Minister to the Foreign Minister to the President of the country, come and visit that site and vow that Israel will respond harshly towards Iran. Nick, the president here in the United States is meeting with his national security team. We know that European ministers are scheduled to meet with the Iranian foreign minister in Geneva tomorrow. Yes, perhaps there is an opportunity for diplomacy here still, but it appears that the window for it is shrinking.
Or possibly about to enlarge with this meeting in Geneva. I mean, yes, we hear fiery rhetoric from the Israelis, and I think that attack on the hospital appears to have pushed them into a point where they feel some extra escalation might be required in response. The persistent now threats against the life of Iran's Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei have persisted now, even with US President Donald Trump hinting at it being a possibility that he was not going to go for now, and that was a couple of days ago. So it continues to circulate as perhaps one of the remaining taboos, frankly, that Israel hasn't broken yet when it comes to Iran. They now have control of the skies over the capital. They've hit its nuclear facilities. They've killed almost half, it seems, of its military command. Announced today the third leader of the Revolutionary Guard Corps in about a week for their ground forces. So extraordinary that we're seeing that pace of degradation to Iran's military. And it then leaves you with the question, well, outside of further Israeli military action, which seems guaranteed at this particular point, what is left for Iran to try and get out of this particular mess where it finds its missile inventories depleted? It clearly has massive damage done to its ability to defend itself, but also launch counterattacks against Israel as well. And so possibly the meeting in Geneva might be the beginnings of a form of negotiation. that could provide Iran an off-ramp, but they're in a highly complex position in that they are clearly, palpably militarily weak. Their nuclear program has taken an enormous beating over the past few days, so nuclear future ambition discussions with the European three foreign ministers there of the UK, France and Germany will be of an entirely different nature than they would have been just a week ago, because so much of their enrichment capability, of their nuclear ambitions that Iran's always said are peaceful, but pretty much everyone else assesses maybe aimed towards a weapon, well, that program has been massively damaged. So the Geneva talk's important. I understand from a diplomat from Europe that will be close to those, that the US will be constantly briefed around it, but they are at the beginning about feeling the room, trying to work out what's possible, but as you say, deeply urgent, that particular task, given the continuing Israeli military campaign.
All right, Nick Peyton Walsh for us in London. Thank you.
Right, Iran is accusing the head of the UN nuclear watchdog of peddling a misleading narrative about its nuclear program.
Yeah, the foreign ministry shared a video of Rafael Grossi saying on CNN Monday that the IAEA did not have any proof of a systematic Iranian effort to build a nuclear weapon. Israel launched its first attack on Iran Friday, hours after the IAEA declared that it was in breach of its nuclear non-proliferation obligations. Well, today, the IDF says that it hit dozens of military targets in Iran, including the Arak nuclear facility. Israel is also eyeing another key facility buried deep underground. The fuel enrichment plant in Fordow is carved into the side of a mountain.
Yeah, experts say the only one massive bomb in the U.S. arsenal is capable of penetrating that facility, a frightening piece of weaponry known as the Bunker Buster. CNN's Brian Todd joins us live now from Washington, D.C. with more. So talk to us about this particular piece of weaponry, because as we know, it's never been used in combat before. So this is basically an experiment, so to speak. How does the U.S. really guarantee that this mission is going to be a success here?
Well, Zain and Bianna, it cannot guarantee that at the moment, because the capabilities of the Bunker Buster, especially as they relate to a potential target in Iran, are a little in question here. I'll get to that in just one moment, but let's first talk about this weapon. It is called officially the GBU-57 Massive Ordnance Penetrator, otherwise known, as we've said, as the Bunker Buster. It is the largest non-nuclear bomb in the U.S. military's arsenal. The Israelis do not have any of these bombs or the capability to deliver them. Only the U.S. has that capability. As Zain and Bianna mentioned, there is no public record of this bomb ever being used in combat before, and one of the reasons for that, according to an expert who I spoke to, was that the U.S. has never encountered a target that requires a bomb this size. Now, the dimensions: it weighs 30,000 pounds, it has 6,000 pounds of high explosives, it is about 20 feet long, it is an ominous weapon. The only plane that can carry this weapon is the B-2 Spirit stealth bomber that is capable of flying 6,000 nautical miles without refueling. Experts say the Bunker Buster can penetrate about 200 feet into the ground, as that graphic shows you there, possibly more, according to one expert who we spoke to. This is designed to hit deeply buried and fortified targets. Now, as for the target that could come into play, and we do have to say this is predicated on two things. Number one, if the U.S. decides to get into this conflict in the first place. But number two, we do not know if the U.S. has made the decision to actually use this bomb. But if both of those things come to pass, well, one possible and maybe even likely target is the Fordow Nuclear Enrichment Facility. It's just south of Tehran, buried deep inside a mountain, possibly underneath about 300 feet of rock is where its halls, tunnels, and enrichment capabilities are. Now, experts have told us that it is not clear if the Bunker Buster can actually reach that depth, because the Bunker Buster can only go about 200 feet underground, possibly more, and if those centrifuges and other things are about 300 feet underground, according to one expert, they might have to drop more than one Bunker Buster on the same target. They would hit it initially and create a crater, and then they would have to drop a second bomb right at the site of that crater to get further down and reach those enrichment capabilities. So, Zain, Bianna, it is not clear if this bomb would even work to the capability that the U.S. Would want it to work if they were to decide to use this.
Brian Todd, thank you so much.